this definitely jump-started the peace talks between the U.S. and North Korea. And obviously South Korea and President Moon Jae-in played a very vital role as a mediator between the two. What gives me hope is that President Trump announced that Stephen Biegun, the special envoy, would be leading the working level talks. He is a former State Department official during the Bush administration, a former auto exec, and he gave a pretty brilliant speech at Stanford before the Hanoi summit, where he outlined the Trump administration's kind of parallel peace and denuclearization process, and basically said Trump wants to end the Korean War. And so that gives me hope, because basically the North Koreans issued a statement before the summit saying that, basically placing two conditions. One was that there needed to be a counterpart that was good with communications, and that they needed to come back to the table after the collapse of the Hanoi talks with a different approach. And without that commitment, there would not have been this meeting at the DMZ.
So what could a possible deal look like, Christine? Is it unrealistic to think that North Korea will just get rid of its nuclear weapons completely, or will a deal inevitably mean some sort of compromise?
Well, I think that we need to get to peace first. I think clearly the Bolton-Libya model is not attractive to the North Koreans. We also know that North Korea suffered indiscriminate bombing, where 80% of its cities were destroyed during the Korean War. So they need a security guarantee, and that is my hope. That is one of the first things on the table in these working level talks, is that the U.S., commit to a non-aggression pact or some kind of declaration to end the Korean War with the promise to negotiate a peace agreement. We know that this was the 69th anniversary of the armistice agreement this past July 27th. The Korean War has still languished on because it's only ended with a ceasefire. And, the good news is that all sides seem to want a formal end to the Korean War, and that is historic.
Is there mutual personal interest as well as a national interest going on with both leaders? Christine, after all, of course, US presidential elections are coming up.
Absolutely. I mean, we know that Trump everywhere around the world in terms of U.S. foreign policy is basically falling apart. And this is going to be an important foreign policy win for him to bring to the elections. And, it's going to have to go beyond symmetry. They're going to need substantive progress towards commitments towards denuclearization. Otherwise, he will continue to be chastised, especially from the Democratic Party. And so, yeah, that is my hope, is that will put the pressure, especially on the U.S. side. But we know from the North Korean side that all sides want to see denuclearization. Hopefully, we could see the peaceful coexistence of the two Koreas, but this is going to be a step-by-step approach. And, I'm of the mindset, you got to start. We've had 70 years of hardened relations, no relations. This is a step towards the future.